Entering the ring now, a very awesome sight indeed at 6 feet 8 inches tall, 385 pounds, Kamala, Ugandan giant.
This shit was so dope and racist at the same time.
Yikes.
Combine a little Mid-South with some WWF type shit. Welcome to the Broken Pencil Booking Company Pro Wrestling Podcast infused with hip hop. I'm sorry. Welcome to the Broken Pencil Booking Company Pro Wrestling Podcast and radio show infused with hip hop. I am Wood.
Made daily with organic, farm to table, localized, neuralized, sterilized, available on Amazon Prime, not available on some Sundays, shipped worldwide, and now available on thebeastradio.com. Broken Pencil Logic. You stay classy, internet. I'm Suave Burgundy.
Yes. Rest in peace to James Harris, a.k.a. Kamala the Ugandan giant, as he passed away at the ripe old age of 70 years old. And contrary to popular belief, this is totally my opinion here, I give two fucks about your medical tests saying that man died of COVID. He lost both of his legs due to complications from diabetes. If he died from anything, it was that. Save your fucking rhetoric for your money. This man has a family and he's no longer with us. Give him the proper respect that he deserves as a human being, as a father, and as a professional wrestler, and keep it moving. Everything else is bullshit. That said, Schwab, what's happening, man?
Another week COVID free. Out here soaking up the sunlight. Yeah,
we here in Texas because bitch, Texas. It's
Texas, it's hot as hell.
It's 110 degrees outside right now.
Like dead ass. Like you gotta wake up crack of dawn if you're trying to get any type of cardio in because it's 101 degrees at 11 o'clock in the morning. And yeah.
My wife and I did some yard work over the weekend, and we started at 4:30 on a Sunday, and it was already 100 plus. You can imagine the water in the Gatorade intake.
Bruh. Like, I mean, now that's one thing. If you're going to be out here, you got to hydrate at a high level, and even then, get your ass in the shade, fam.
Yeah, it's going to be a long time before we go back to that Sportatorium parking lot on purpose.
Hey, look, we're here for a good time, not a long time. It's just hot.
Straight up. Man, before we get too deep into the show, man, Kamala, man, what's your favorite rivalries of Kamala real quick?
Honestly, I probably say the one that sticks out first in my mind is with The Undertaker.
Yeah. Casket match.
I got a chance to see Kamala before that because, Kamala's, because it's Texas. In my formative years of watching wrestling, I would see Kamala on World Class Championship Wrestling.
That's part of Devastation Incorporated.
You know what I'm saying? So, but at that time, I'm so young, I'm not really paying attention to rivalries. I'm more so amazed by the spectacle of it all. Like the missing link was painted fucking green. And then, Kamala with the stars and moon painted on him is like, these are for show characters. So I was drawn more to the character Kamala than saying, okay, this was my favorite rivalry of theirs or, work rate and all that other kind of stuff. It was purely spectacle and attraction from the time I first saw Kamala. This is going to be a great opportunity for me to go back retrospectively and kind of pick up on the things that probably made him, the rivalries that made him more famous. But he stood alone for me, to be honest. Like I was gonna remember Kamala regardless of who he was in the ring with, just because of the presentation and the packaging.
I'm always going to tell you to go back and acknowledge Mid-South. I wish we had access to the Memphis archives, and hopefully before our lifetimes are up, we will finally see the Memphis archives. The problem is it's in bits and pieces. And so for people that actually still have videotapes, it's the videotapes that people recorded from home from the WMC Channel 5 Saturday morning shows, and then some of the Channel 13 shows when they moved over to WREG. And of course, this is all Memphis shit here. But the reason why there's no whole collection is because they had to tape over the actual videotapes when they were filming Mid-Southern and Continental in Memphis, just because of how expensive tape was back then. So anybody that has a full collection has it based off of VHS tapes from them recording it on Saturdays. And I don't know if anybody or any bodies that could collectively put together a whole collection of, footage from the 70s to like early 90s or even mid 90s from that particular organization. That said, Kamala came over as part of to Mid-South as Bill Watts and Jerry Jarrett had a talent trade situation popping off where they would always go back and forth with talent. And so my exposure to him was in Mid-South and World Class, as Skandar Akbar was up and down a highway going between Tulsa and Dallas and Oklahoma City and Dallas and Shreveport and Dallas. And so we got both of them. So I would see him on Devastation Incorporated in Mid-South and in World Class. But in Mid-South, I remember the first time I saw him get beaten was by Terry Taylor. As like he went for, I think Kamala went for a body slam and lost his footing, and Terry Taylor landed on top of him, and it was a botched 3 count. But at the same time, it was one of those things where Terry Taylor was the short shot babyface. It was good to see him go over on the biggest rival or the biggest heel in the territory. You also had Junkyard Dog, Hacksaw Butch Reed. Of course, I reference this all the time. Hacksaw Jim Duggan with the face burning, like it doesn't get any more gangster than that. Man, it just, and he wasn't a great wrestler, but he was a hell of a worker. He sold the shit out of everything.
And I literally heard a podcast where all of the same stuff was said about how Kamala got started, his time in Memphis, him being Sugar Bear Harris before becoming Kamala, and the reason he became Kamala. So all this is completely validated. Just hadn't seen enough of the early days, and then the early stuff that I did see, I didn't care who he was in the ring with. He was kicking the shit out of somebody. So it was a squash match, basically.
Funny you bring that up because I have no idea what you're talking about, but that's just off the top of the head from things I've seen firsthand. And I heard Sugar Bear Harris maybe once, and I completely forgot about it till you said something. So yeah, that's.
You know who I heard it from? It was the
Cornette.
Exactly. And it was odd that he had just brought him up on the most recent experience. They were talking about him, and I had never heard the name Sugar Bear Harris. And then it was like, it's a pretty cool listen. It's eerie and ironic that he was brought up and his history was kind of explained right before this unfortunate event. But it's good to be able to go back and, just pay homage to those that you may not have paid as much attention to previously. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so rest in peace to Kamala. This show is dedicated to you. You meant a lot to... No, I can't see. Let me back up. You've destroyed a lot of our childhoods.
I mean, you should have been standing there.
There are plenty of kids who had their dreams squashed literally from a splash, and many of heroes have fallen by the wayside due to Kamala and Devastation Incorporated. So, growing up and realizing that these folks are still alive and well is cool. Now we can go back and look and be like, yo, he was the shit. He did what he was supposed to do back for his time. So no more suffering, Kamala. You got this, man. This show is all yours.
Straight like that.
There we go. All right. We don't have a big agenda, like you said. We ain't here for a long time. We're here for a good time. Your boy. Speaking of Tulsa, running off with the damn mouth again. WWE Hall of Famer, BotchBot 9800. I'm sorry, Bill Goldberg.
Good Lord.
That's your nickname, man. But I co-sign it, obviously.
I go back and forth between BotchBot 9800 and BotchBerg, and it's just, you know.
Hashitashi 98,000. Man, this dude, I don't. What was the so? He's popping off on Roman Reigns, calling Roman Reigns a joke. What was the context?
I don't know, and because I don't know, I'm gonna reserve the right. I'm gonna look at this as either this is a really poor work or this is a really poor shoot.
Well,
either way, done poorly.
Yeah, and we can concur that it's poorly done. Here's the problem.
It's vague and ambiguous enough to where you could always go back and clean it up, and it leaves the door open. It's like it's just enough of a soundbite for you to get that match that you've been looking for. Which, to be honest, is something that I mentioned and then we discussed going all the way back to WrestleMania, is that you don't bring Roman back on television and go straight for the title belt or straight for the Fiend, which obviously he's going to have the belt again. He should have never lost it. Different story for a different day. But you needed to get that Goldberg match off. So one, you can mark that off the list. It never has to happen again. And you can cash in on what was supposed to happen at WrestleMania. And you bring Roman back in a situation where he's not in the title picture. He's wrestling someone that you can boo if you so choose. And if you present Roman in the right way, he's right back in the face. He's right back in the position to be your top face. Or if what I've read about the Fiend is true, and they're actually going to shift his narrative, Roman coming back and stomping on Goldberg and using that as a way to turn heel, I'm all for it.
The problem is, I think if Roman comes back and stomps on Goldberg, he doesn't turn heel.
I mean, he doesn't have to, and history has shown, for whatever reason, him and Cena, they just will not pull the trigger on a heel turn, no matter what people say, think. Like, if you look at Roman Reigns, like, don't hear him talk, don't hear his story. What if you just look at him? What do you think he would be better at?
He's definitely edgy. Like, just the look of him says edgy. And if you let him be edgy, you can get exactly what you want out of him. And you can get the reaction that you want. And you can also let him be him and let him be more credible. Because now as a face, the problem was him being this clean cut white meat baby face. He's not credible. Because it's like John Cena's 6 Moves of Doom. You're getting the same song and dance out of someone who's actually a very learned student. He comes from royalty. He comes from wrestling royalty. Legit.
I get it. It's just he's been given such piss poor creative over the time where they tried to establish him as a face. It was like when he was over as a heel with the Shield, all you had to do was keep doing that, and he would have eventually been over as a face. He was the ass kicker who said one line at a time, if that, didn't back down from anything, and he looked imposing. Anything other than that was unnecessary.
Every promo from him could have been, I'm going to kick your ass. Believe that. And that's it. That's it. Every promo could have been that. Instead, you tried to make him be something that he wasn't. And everyone calls him cool. And I can see him being cool. But you don't have to be cool. You need to be believable. That's all you have to be. And I'm not saying it's his fault. This is definitely not his fault. He's dealing with the best hand he can, playing with the best hand he's been dealt. They just need to let him, there's only been a couple of times where we've actually seen him be him. And that Cena rivalry back, what was it, 2016? During, what's the pay-per-view before Hell in a Cell?
Shit.
Historically speaking.
I no longer have WWE's pay-per-view calendar memorized.
What? You Suave? No. So at any rate,
I know, like the big five. I know when those happen and in what order. Just when you start getting to these offsprings that have been, renamed and rebranded 6 or 7 times. Like, look, after SummerSlam, I don't know what the fuck is next.
it was, I believe it was No Mercy.
Well, okay.
Yeah. 2017.
Yeah. Roman and Cena.
Yeah.
Yes, 2017. No Mercy. Same card as Brock and Braun, where Braun threw an errant knee and caught a smooth left that almost knocked him unconscious.
Here we go with these unbridled stats again, because that's what we do here.
I'm just saying, like, once the memory's jogged, I can absolutely quote you, chapter and verse on a bunch of this shit. Like, you ask me what happens after SummerSlam. Like, I don't know. What did WWE name the pay-per-view? Like, is it Battleground? Is it Backlash? What the fuck are we doing?
I better not say Great Balls of Fire, because you were at that one. At any rate,
it was the only one.
And it came out way better than the name was. But at any rate, but all that said, though, like that was only one of the only times where that whole feud, that build up for No Mercy, was when we saw the Roman that we thought we were going to be able to see going forward, and that was only a glimpse. Meanwhile, to say all that to say this: don't bring up somebody and call them a joke when you're almost double that man's age. Number one. And two, I don't know if you really want that smoke. But then
part of me just believes that this is a work. It's so vague because there's no.
It could be, but do you really think that? Do you think that Goldberg has become that guy to where it's okay to work him? Because we don't even know who the damn dude was he was interviewing with.
That's the other part of it. It's like
that dude just got made famous. We don't even know his name, but he just got made famous because of that bullshit.
That's my whole point. It's like you've served several masters. You've rekindled fire of a match that was supposed to be a major payday for you. So in a pandemic, securing the bag is an important topic. Then you take the individual who you're doing the interview with. Y'all are sitting on a back porch. Obviously, this is a friend of yours. If you say some shit out of line on his podcast, or his interview segment, he becomes someone that you check for, because if you're going to get some uncensored commentary from Bill Goldberg, that's where you have to go. Or at least that's what the perception will be.
Let me ask you a question.
Shoot.
In Texas, the most heralded sport,
football.
High school football specifically, right?
Right.
And
high school football, then college, then pro. Damn near. Or pro and college will switch depending on where you live.
In Georgia, what is the most heralded sport?
College football.
So do you really here's where you may draw the lines between fantasy and reality. The end of the segment that we're talking about has Goldberg telling the general public in reference to Roman Reigns that's the difference between Georgia and Georgia Tech.
Yikes.
Doesn't that sound like an ass whooping in a can waiting to happen?
Like it.
I mean, am I off base here?
You're not off base. It's just we're both arguing the opposite sides of the coin. If you think it's a shoot, which if it turned out to be a shoot, I wouldn't be shocked by it. I'm looking at this as like BotchBot has a lot to gain from it being a work. Mm-hmm. Doesn't have as much to gain from it being a shoot. If it's a shoot, it's a one-off comment, and Roman can just say, "Well, fuck you, I'll never work with you," and then that's the end of it. And I mean, you can argue as much as you want to. The longer Roman waits, the older Goldberg gets, and it becomes a moot point. I can wait you out, old man, and then you'll never get back in the ring. Right. At least not with me. But if it's a work, then it's like, okay, this is that one goofy ass soundbite that WWE can clip out, play later on, and then that be the basis for Roman doing whatever he decides to do.
There that is. All right, so we've given Roman Reigns more than enough time. We've given Bill Goldberg too much goddamn time. If you ask me.
Roman deserves as much time as we can possibly give him, because he's played this correctly the entire time.
On the flip side, though, Bill Goldberg. Yeah, then there's that guy. Before I keep saying this before we get too far into it. BrokenPencilBC@gmail.com. Show at BrokenPencilBC.com. Broken Pencil BC on all things social. Mark my words, you can't write this. Fuck the casual fan. Fuck Life Shorty with the shit and Broken Pencil Logic. So those are your hashtags there. We all over this bitch. And thebeastradio.com as well. DABEASTRADIO.com. And also the Beast Radio on all things social for your Beast. The dopest hip hop station on the internet will also carry the dopest hip hop and pro wrestling podcast on the internet. So there's that. And shout out to Hundos, Mr. 700. Caution.
Hundos.
All Over Sports Show will also be on the beastradio.com, so you can get your sports and your sports entertainment / pro wrestling fix all on the beastradio.com. We out here trying to grow this shit, man, slowly but surely.
I'm not even gonna put no cap on it. I do urge y'all to check out the All Over Sports Show and All Over Art and Life. Like, they have some really dope content. Like, it's for people who can think.
I'm actually looking forward to hearing it on the Beast. To be honest with you, man, I think it's going to be a cool fit because it's some brass knuckle rap that's being played. No mumble, no. It's some trap-ish, but none of the nothing commercial. It's deep album cuts and new music. You know, at the same time, it's also some classic stuff on there too. And I think Broken Pencil BC as well as the All Over Sports Show will be a perfect fit for the environment that is, because I mean we are all, including Caution, all hip hop dudes doing this shit.
I can dig it.
Nice. It's called a pivot. Is what you got to do with your life. You got to pivot. I'm looking at this agenda and I can't help but laugh when I think of retribution, and I put on this agenda Retrashbution.
Now you've renamed this group. Now we have to be able to give credence and give a shout out to the third member of the 6-man tag team champions of the world. Craig, who is not with us today, but is with us in spirit and has renamed this group.
Wait. Before you tell his name, there was another honorable mention too. Okay. Petty's is definitely more important than the honorable mention because it didn't come from here, but here's an honorable mention nonetheless.
Okay.
I saw a post on the internet that said someone called Retribution aces and 5'8", and I will never be able to look at them the same again.
That was a pretty good one, not gonna lie.
But this one here made me look at my text thread for about 2 or 3 minutes. And then ask him as if I didn't read it on my screen and I had to type it out for myself to believe it. Petty Messiah. Go ahead, Swab.
So Petty in the text thread has likened the group Retribution to Tozawa's Ninjas. And as a result, has renamed the faction Girl and Guy and Tie. After the Attitude Era Japanese stable Kaientai.
Oh man, no choppy your pee-pee.
Oh man, shout out to Shofunaki. Indeed,
SmackDown #1 announcer.
Dick Togo or Dick to go in certain circles, and the great Taka
Michinoku, the creator of the Michinoku Driver.
Yes, and actually who is one of Kenny Omega's favorite wrestlers.
Nice. I won't go there. Anyway, so what do we make of Retribution so far? They're
Nothing. You know why? Because WWE doesn't even know what they're doing with Retribution. So I can't make anything out of creative that you don't know where it's going.
I totally agree. I don't know. MVP started this. What was it? Raw 2 weeks ago, or was it last week? Cause see, that's how slow shit's moving. I think it was last week.
He talked about it Monday, and then he also kind of spoke to it the week that it happened. This whole Retribution shit is only 2 weeks old, so we're trying to reserve judgment. However, from the reports we read and from what we see on television, no one really knows what the fuck is going on, and all of this shit is just kind of happening as we watch. Like, they're coming up with it like literally before they go out. Like, the one thing I'm willing to settle on is that the people that take the masks off are not the people in the ring, because there's no way Vince signed off on a Lollipop Guild being a fucking faction. Like, most of these people can barely see over the top rope. And I'm like, okay, it could be a group of all women, but what's the difference between that and the Riot Squad? Nothing.
Not at all.
So why would you ruin the concept of the Riot Squad and give their entire energy and aura to another group of women called Retribution? Like, what the fuck? What's the point?
Yeah, man, I really don't know. First of all, like, one person, I'm sorry, multiple people on the internet are thinking that Lio Rush is part of this group. Now, considering Lio Rush was part of the group that was, out, had left the company back in April. I don't know if Leo's contract was up or if he was released. At any rate, he's no longer with WWE, quote unquote. However, he does fit the build of some of the makeup of at least one or two of these characters in Girl and Guy and Tie. The hoodies, the all black outfits, like, you look generic as fuck. It's not even like you don't look mysterious. You look generic. You look like, and why are y'all fucking up the church's money? Think about all that. I understand about trying to hire people, keep them employed during these uncertain times. But breaking the glass doors and windows of the fucking building that you guys built by hand, are you fucking crazy?
Tax write-off.
Maybe so.
All that's just a tax, because they're gonna need to replace that glass with bulletproof glass when this shit bombs.
As a homeowner, I'm like, fuck that. Like, why would you?
Right, because you're thinking about it as a homeowner. They're thinking about it as a corporation. The breaking of the glass, it doesn't really bother me. It's just cheesy.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
It's a really bad cosplay of rioting and looting. And is that the message of course, we're on Fox when this shit is happening for the most part. So I'm like, okay.
There was some on USA too.
This might be the message you want to send, but like, what?
And tell me,
I'm more concerned with the fact that they don't know where this is going.
Don't tell me what happened before you show me what happened. We received word that they broken the window and they broken the glass door out at the performance center. Let's go backstage.
I think I would have felt better about this if they didn't tell us a faction was debuting and stuff just started happening.
I would feel better if you don't insult our intelligence, like you aren't the one that created the fucking faction. Like,
that's what I mean. Like, don't acknowledge it. Let it unfold. Like, you don't have to. Some things don't have to be promoted. They just have to happen so that you can have that ripple effect of people telling other people, and things happen word of mouth and happen organically. If you try to put the PR spin and the social media promo behind everything, what is supposed to feel special? Now you've just raised the expectation, and now it's more than apparent. Everybody's not on the same page with this shit.
At WWE is, to my knowledge, was Vince McMahon's Twitter. And of course, now it's become the company, the corporate Twitter, where Vince McMahon will occasionally tweet from. That said, don't get on fucking Twitter from the corporate or from Vince McMahon's Twitter page talking about WWE has learned. Fuck you learning. Y'all crafted this shit. You just let motherfuckers off the street, walk off the street and come onto your shit, into your demo and wreck your demo? Suave. Tell you what. Let's go down to Tampa. Let's go down to Orlando. Let's bully foot our way through the fucking performance center. Let's bully foot our way through Full Sail.
We will be arrested on site. First of all, if we fly to Florida right now, we're gonna have to quarantine for 2 weeks.
Make it 4 because we're from Texas, and then once we hit Florida, we got to do 2 weeks. Then when we come back from Florida, we got to do another 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, that's an extra week or extra month of hotel fees. Then, as soon as we try to go to the Performance Center, we will be arrested on the spot.
So
getting us, people that look like us, getting arrested in Florida, probably not the best recipe for success.
What if we wear white hoodies and jeans?
No. First of all, didn't I just get through telling you that the current temperature here at 11 o'clock in the morning was 101 degrees? So you want me to add the fucking humidity of Florida in like semi-hurricane season and put a white hoodie on to go prove a point? See, that's what I'm talking about. WWE has not vetted their process as much as we just vetted ours right here, right now.
Fine, fuck it, we won't do it. Don't mean I don't want to still.
I'm just saying we can bully foot shit from right here in the comforts of our own homes in front of our laptops and web devices. That's all I'm saying. There is a better way, my friend.
Fine. All right. Well, while we're on the topic of WWE, we haven't got a finalized card yet, but let's run down what was looking like to be SummerSlam. Oh shit! Forgot about this one. This is probably going to start it off. But we got a new initiation into the WWE, and by the looks of things, I would dare say that there's a contract on the table. Dominic Mysterio is going to be going up against Seth Rollins, and boy, I don't ever recall Tommy Dreamer, New Jack, Balls Mahoney, Ian or Axel Rotten, Bully Ray, Devon, Spike, Big Dick,
Pause.
Who?
Pause.
Dudley's. Those are Dudley boys.
Say the whole name like a Tribe Called Quest. Every time, Tom. Every time.
Terry or Dory Funk Jr. Road Warrior Animal, Road Warrior Hawk. Even Abdullah the Butcher's fat ass. I don't recall any of them looking this bad on their foreheads as Dominic looked on his back and on his chest.
Dreamer might have got close because there wasn't the same amount of emotion or build into it, but when Sandman came Tommy Dreamer back in ECW's formative years, it was sort of similar, but I still think Dominic got more coverage and more bruising. But yeah,
well, Tommy was a stipulation for losing a match. Dominic just got handled.
True, I'll say it's not the same build up, not the same execution. Just it's a public ass whooping, just the same though.
Yeah, so needless to say, that young man is made.
Public flogging. His initiation into the wrestling business that's as aggressive as I've seen in modern times.
That's as definitely in the last I think the most brutal thing I've seen post ECW was probably Ric Flair versus Mick Foley in TNA.
Yikes.
That's probably the most brutal shit. Jericho and Moxley comes pretty damn close in WWE.
What about Omega Moxley?
That was pretty bad too. I guess Flair and Foley, because neither one of them had business doing the shit they were doing at the age they were doing it at, and they did it at a 30-year-old level.
I got you.
But in terms of like post collateral damage and brutality, Dominic he might be top 5 in the last 20 years in terms of post collateral damage to the body.
Okay, I can live with that. Now, here's my thing, because I had some people actually kind of ask me about it. Now, Dominic's taking over the family business, obviously, which means he's been trained for this. Like, it's not a situation where he's never been in the ring before, doesn't know what he's doing. He's probably better than
Cain Velasquez.
Well, that's obvious. That much is obvious. But here's the thing: Cain hasn't had an opportunity to learn the WWE style. He was already coming from a MMA background and needed a knee surgery, so I won't clown him
right
as much. I think he'll get another WWE run. He'll get another chance to come back and avenge that loss. He just happened to be a casualty of pandemic cuts.
That's one thing that I hate about when we do these shows and we have to try to crunch so much information in such a short amount of time is we fail to mention that through Kane's very short tenure in WWE, he's earmarked to come back as a healthier individual. And of course, adding some training into the mix too. We will see him again in our WWE ring.
Yeah, like it's too much of an investment. You made too much of an investment to not have him back at some point. Like some people you look at, they get cut, and you're like, yeah, he won't be back ever.
Right.
Then there's other ones like, yeah, this is just temporary, and he'll probably come back for more money to make up for the fact that you fired him during the pandemic. Like whatever number he came in with, he'll probably match that number plus a little extra for the inconvenience.
Especially now that it's public knowledge that WWE is actually making money during this pandemic.
Like you profited like $43 million when you were only expecting to make like less than 15. So you've cost cut your way to handling business, and obviously Kane will be back at some point. But I said all that. I was talking about Dominic. Is it possible that Dominic is going to have the best debut performance since Ronda Rousey?
I would probably put his at higher. I put his higher because first of all, Dominic, unlike Ronda Rousey, Dominic has actually been running around the ring and slithering his way out of situations, and whenever he has to apply something, it looks like he's been working. Like it doesn't look polished, but it looks like he's been working. And I'm sure when he finally actually has that match, the fact that he doesn't have a crowd around him for that, you will have less nerves than you would around 15,000 people. So I think he's going to probably have the easiest looking debut match on the main roster that we've ever seen, ever. Simply because of what his lineage is. I dare say, I mean, God bless the dead, I dare say that Dominic probably took some bumps or maybe hit the ropes with Eddie Guerrero, even in a playful manner. But I'm sure that he was learning back then.
Yeah, I'm totally under the assumption that he's been wrestling as long as some people on the main roster in one form or another. Since you don't have the crowd, you do kind of take some of the jitters out. But I don't know, like maybe there's a possibility that not having the crowd makes him too much in his own head. He can't get lost in the adrenaline of the crowd and just do what's natural. He's really going to be thinking about everything as it happens. However, the person on the other side of the ring for as much shit as we give him about when he opens his mouth, Kung Fu Panda can wrestle.
Did you just say Kung Fu Panda? And I actually said Seth Rollins without even playing the damn song. So
Seth Rollins, aka Kung Fu Panda, he can wrestle, he can perform, he can carry a great match. Now, that sounds like a backhanded compliment, especially after we've made light of the fact that he had a whole 6 months or 4 months, however many months this program has been with Rey Mysterio. There's not one classic. That's probably really because that's not his fault, though. That's just they've been booking gimmick matches and just piss poor interaction. But
it's not to say that Seth isn't capable of it. Definitely not to say that Ray isn't capable of it. Hell, Ray's put on classics with shit damn near with turnbuckles.
You know what I'm saying? Like he hasn't been booked to have a one-on-one end all be all grudge match. They've been doing gimmick shit.
And the sad thing is the most classic moment out of all their matches is him vomiting.
Then there's that.
that's the crazy part. So at any rate, let's back on the card though. We got Dominic versus Seth. The Street Profits at quote unquote, and I'm saying that because this poison angle with Montez Ford. Oh, that's some funny shit too. Angelo Dawkins, Montez Ford against Andrade and Angel Garza. Last Monday on Monday Night Raw. Oh, and today is Thursday. Year our Lord.
20
and 2. I fucked that all up. Thursday, August the 13th. Year of our Lord.
Yeah, our Lord.
I said, yeah, my Lord.
Yeah, our Lord.
20 and 20. And then on Happy Birthday Hip Hop for 8/11, you know what I'm saying, 1973. Can't forget good old hip hop. Happy birthday to you. What's the name? Selena Vega was accused by Bianca Belair of poisoning Montez Ford. Hence, Montez is passing out, quote unquote, during the match last week on Raw. And on Twitch over the weekend, Zelina Vega was on live and looks up and says, "What are you doing in my house?" and gets pounced by Bianca Belair in her own crib. Some of the funniest shit I've seen carry over from television ever.
But then they didn't show it and follow up on Raw.
Absolutely stupid. Drop ball a moment right there. Hopefully they do something next week, but we'll see. But that was I thought that was a really hilarious moment. Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. It looks like Randy's about to get number 15. Actually number 14. And one item that we forgot to talk about, which is pretty damn important. We called this shit weeks ago on the BPBC, where probably right around WrestleMania after Orton beat Edge and punted the shit out of Christian, and then actually probably the night that he punted the shit out of Christian, we called this. Flair got punted by Randy Orton finally. We can't say we didn't see it coming because it came out of nowhere. Stop sending me shit. We can't say we didn't see it coming because we definitely saw it coming out of nowhere, and it came out of nowhere. Actually, it was right in front of us the whole time. But yeah, so what is to come of Randy Orton giving Ric Flair the business?
As I have predicted in sort of Broken Pencil Logic book, this is going to lead to some form of a physical altercation with Charlotte. Which, if you're building the biggest heel in recent memory, him kicking her in the head at some point is inevitable. Whether or not people are going to be able to accept it, so you cross that bridge when you get to it. Right. I really think at some point you're going to have some sort of physical altercation between Charlotte and Randy Orton. I wouldn't be surprised if you got a match out of it.
Now seeing that the Big Five pay-per-views really don't mean a damn thing, only because there's no crowd, not because they're not important. It's just there's no crowd, so they really have no bearing on anything. We could possibly see what should have happened as a match at either Hell in a Cell or hold up. Are we talking about possibly having a Hell in a Cell between Randy Orton and Charlotte?
Nah, I don't really think you get there because
it's now a blood feud. It's now a blood. You kicked a 71-year-old man. This is now a blood feud.
It is. Just, are you gonna believe that Randy Orton and Charlotte works inside of Hell in a Cell? Like, considering Randy Orton's history in Hell in a Cell and his history as a heel, period, that it just, you're starting to blur the lines a little too much. The suspension of disbelief gets a lot more difficult with Charlotte and Randy in Hell in a Cell. You can suspend disbelief for Charlotte and Randy in a regular match because you can have run-ins. Everyone who has any type of admiration for Flair can interject themselves in the match in order to help Charlotte get revenge.
Man, that's crazy. I just thought about that. So the whole point I was trying to make is it doesn't matter when you have the match. You just know the match is going to happen at pay-per-view because you're not going to throw this shit away on like Raw or SmackDown. That's for damn sure. Do we see Charlotte at SummerSlam?
I would say yes. I feel like it's a perfect opportunity for Charlotte to come back from her elected surgery, and instead of dealing with Nia Jax immediately, you need to cost Randy Orton the World Heavyweight Championship. And in that, there you go. You can start rolling the ball down the hill.
Well, Jax is off of pay-per-view for sure, and she's off of TV for the foreseeable future due to her interaction with one Pat Buck.
Yeah, then there's that.
So we'll see how that plays out and why she's even off TV for real. But at any rate, that's very key this whole Flair Orton situation, because again, we saw it coming, but now that we're here, let's see how we cross this bridge. I want to know when Brock is going to pop back up. And I was hoping it would be during this, but Brock has no he has no stake in this other than Drew McIntyre. But I don't think he's going to interfere in a match with Randy Orton to take the title off of Drew and put it on Randy, so that way he can have a feud for nothing. So
from everything I've read, Brock's not coming back until you can have a crowd.
There you go.
I mean, for good reason.
Apollo Crews versus MVP for the United States Championship. Apollo Crews is your actual champion. I question how much longer it's going to be before Apollo Crews joins the new Beatdown Clan, aka the Hurt Business.
They have to have a foil. So I don't know. I think you got a better shot at like Cedric Alexander or somebody at this point.
Somebody you're not expecting?
Yeah, like Ced can just get tired of catering, turn on Ricochet, join the group, and then Cedric Alexander and Ricochet can feud. That'll give you some TV matches. It'll give you a blow-off pay-per-view match, and then Cedric can basically play the little guy in the Hurt Business. So he'll be the small guy with the attitude problem until he decides, he's going to break.
What's funny is if it's Ricochet, then Ricochet plays the role of Loki in the Beatdown Clan.
Yeah, but there's no but to it. You're absolutely right. I would hope they wouldn't try to completely reprise the group like that.
The only thing we're missing is a world title on either Lashley or MVP. That's it.
It should be coming soon, but you know how that go.
And congrats to MVP for securing that bag, whatever the bag was. All I know is that you were drinking some very expensive Japanese swell whiskey. And I'm not mad at you for that. Sasha Banks versus Asuka for the Raw Women's title. I think Asuka gets her belt back. Bayley is taking on the winner of a triple brand battle royal, which, you know who I think is going to win that battle royal?
Who that?
Bianca Belair.
Oh, wow. That's okay.
Simply because Bianca is on, she's high on the radar.
Okay.
And Fox could use some infusion. Fox could use not even like so much color. They could use a little bit of attitude, because Bayley, I like heel Bayley a lot. Hollywood Hugs Hogan. I love it. But she's just not what that is for a crowdless arena or like a crowdless show.
While I feel like Bayley and Sasha have been doing a great job as the golden role models, I'll give you another option. I'll say Rhea Ripley.
That was my second choice.
Only because we've been doing the whole Color Wheel of Champions thing, and the one thing we didn't bring up on last week's episode, something I kind of want to mention now. Raw and SmackDown ratings are tanking. They're as low as they've ever been. They're breaking record lows. Do you really want your future stars of color associated with being champions in the lowest producing television days in the company's history? Because that will be something that comes up. People won't mention the fact that we were in a pandemic and there were no fans in the arenas. They're just going to mention the fact that 80-90% of the roster and its championships were occupied by people of color, and
during a time where there were no crowd.
Yeah, TV didn't reflect. So I was gonna say you didn't really make any money as far as the gates were concerned, even though the company banked $30+ million over what they estimated. They're gonna say, well, during a pandemic, more people should be at home watching TV, and the numbers are lower. They're gonna find a way to make this about the people who were champion at the time, like how
no one watched you. No, when everybody had the opportunity to watch you, no one watched you.
Right, like how they would say Diesel was the lowest drawing champion in WWF history. Shit like that, when you don't take into consideration everything that was going on at the time.
You know what's crazy?
I kind of feel like that.
So, speaking of television, I just thought about something. And I don't know if this is, we'll see as the months go forward. and let me bring this up too because it kind of ties in like haphazardly. Are you up on a UFC card for this Saturday?
No, I'm not actually.
The main event for UFC, I believe, is 252. Is Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier 3 for the UFC heavyweight title. Daniel Cormier's contract has been done. This might be Daniel Cormier's last UFC match, but it's definitely their last match. Miocic and Cormier is definitely going to be their last match against each other. But the fact that this is coming during a pandemic shows that you need something to draw a crowd. After this, what happens to the UFC? Because the heavyweight division hasn't been this exciting in probably 10 or 15 years. And it got that way. Yeah, and it got that way really within the last 2 years. And then now during a pandemic, you have the last really big heavyweight match you could possibly have unless Brock Lesnar returns, which probably won't. Actually, I'd say 99% chance won't happen. That said, after this, we've got SummerSlam for WWE. And then we've got the beginning of year 2 of WWE on Fox. The only programming that we have coming up of note where people will be tuned in mass is going to be Power Book 2 starting in September. We have no definitive start date for Snowfall, which rumor has it 2021 because of the stopping in production.
I don't like that shit. But go ahead, yeah.
But still, this begs the question, and the Shy ends in 2 weeks, so it begs the question: what's left for people to watch? Netflix isn't producing shit. Hulu isn't producing shit. And they just signed on for a second season of American Saga, the Wu-Tang story.
Yeah, Netflix they're adding old shit. They're buying up a lot of old content to add. If you watch Umbrella Academy, second season of that just debuted. If you watch Last Chance U, the 5th iteration of that just debuted on Netflix. But I get what you're saying. Ozark is finished for the foreseeable future until the next season goes up. And if they hadn't already filmed it, you might as well wait till 2021, 2022 to get it.
And the next season will be the last, as it will have 14 episodes split between 2 parts of seasons.
That part.
So, but again, we're talking like this Saturday is the UFC pay-per-view. Next weekend is SummerSlam. We got NXT TakeOver. Was that this week?
It's all running together, but you might be right.
I'll check NXT TakeOver schedule here in a second. But then you have AEW All Out the Saturday before Labor Day, and so basically after that, the only thing you're going to have on TV is going to be Power Book 2 and professional wrestling. So if you
doesn't mean that the audience that you would expect to tune in to see the current champions is gonna tune in, because you're not able to do anything to expose those people to that wider audience.
No, we're saying the exact same thing. My thing is this: what as a company are you going to do, knowing that you have the ability to turn all eyes? Because the NBA will be done by then, the NHL will be done by then. NHL might be started back up by then. By the time I'm talking about, the NHL's break may be over with, and they may be starting back up by then for their 2020-2021 season. NBA, as it sits right now, is still scheduled to go to start in the middle of October. But again, with a short break, simply because they have 4 months off. Football, pro football, if we have a season, it's going to be on Sundays anyway. So again, Fridays and Mondays are covered.
Doubtful as fuck.
Yeah, Fridays and Mondays are covered. I mean, well, of course, Monday Night Football still goes head up against Monday Night Raw. That's nothing new. That's been the same way for almost 30 years.
If they actually do play a season, that shit is going to be ugly.
Yeah,
you see Raw is doing bad now. It's going to be way worse.
Yeah, I'm going to see representatives from each team playing Madden to see what playing for ratings.
We're going to esports the whole fucking season.
I mean, hey, the SWAC just announced the esports league, and rumor has it the SWAC is supposed to be folding their season. The Big 10 and the Pac-12 have both said they're resuming January 2021.
Spring ball.
rumor has it, again, here's another rumor, Ohio State is looking to play outside the conference this season, just so they can have a season. Ohio State's looking to play in the SEC this season just so they can have a season. I don't know how that's going to go over in the SEC or with the Big Ten, but that would be an interesting dynamic. And I'm sure the SEC would say no simply because there's so much travel in between the SEC schools and Ohio.
Yeah. As much as everybody wants to see football, no one more than myself, the NBA has done this perceivably right. I don't know if you could replicate that same success with the sheer number of people you have involved playing football.
Yeah, it's just
the sheer numbers are just too many. However, you kind of brought up something that made sense to me about being able to expose your champions and your diversity. What are you doing to expose them to a wider audience? That air quotes casual fan that we say fuck them all the time. Like, why? Well, I know why you can't do it on TNT because I mean that's AEW
for obvious reasons.
But even AEW should be doing this. You should have some of your bigger stars as virtual fans for these basketball games.
Wow. Because
they need the FaceTime. They need to be able to be seen and let the announcers explain who they are. Cody and Brandy sitting as virtual fans for an NBA game, instant money. The TNT champion, Cody Rhodes, and his wife, Brandy. So now you get to see the champion of TNT while a basketball game's on TNT with his culturally diverse wife. Then they'll Google him and find out whose son he is and that he's racially diverse. And that he's the champion of a show that comes on the same network every Wednesday.
Who's also the executive vice president of a company that's owned by the vice president of statistics for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All shit you can find out with one Google. You see his face, you hear his name, one Google search, and you know all that. And then you can make an informed decision. But why you're not doing that, I do not understand.
Hire this man, people. Whoever's listening to this, that's Suave Burgundy. Hire this man.
Somebody else listening. They just gonna steal it and say it was their idea. But
like Triple H,
it'll be somebody because like the Trips, he understands it. Like the whole Pat McAfee shit. It's a publicity stunt. It's as large of a celebrity as you can get that is already trained and able to wrestle and doesn't have to do any additional traveling because he's already there. He already works for you, with you. He's available. And
there's plenty of space off camera for him to do training while camera work is being done.
Totally. So that makes total sense. It'll catch a few legs, but not quite as much because he was a punter. Let's just be honest about it. He has a big personality, great, but he was a punter. It is what it is.
But he's selling that punter as a tough guy gimmick too, which I love it.
It's hilarious. It's great because like he's a fucking 6'4", 235 punter, 235 pound punter.
I'm saying he looks bigger than 235 to me, but I could be wrong. But at the same time, though, like he's the same way Shawn Michaels sold his super kick. This is the same way Pat McAfee is selling his thigh.
Oh.
Forgot it here.
But yeah, all cool and it all makes perfect sense and I'm with it. It's just, hey, I need some people to take the initiative to do better.
No doubt.
You have all this different stuff happening on Fox. You got to find a way to put these people in these, even if it's just for a minute. Like you're not exposed. You have all this diversity at your championship spots in your company, and you're doing nothing to expose it. It's kind of like it's our high joker. We holding it to the end in case somebody brings us the race card and we can play this. But down the road, when people look back, it's going to be like, well, 95% of the champions were colored or people of color. And, well, yeah, you know how shit goes in WWE. We're people of color, yet we didn't do anything to let anybody know that. It was like the big secret. If right. You know, but if you don't, then we'll only bring it up when you bring it up.
And finally, for SummerSlam, as it sits right now, we have Braun Strowman versus your champion Braun Strowman versus the Fiend Bray Wyatt. Do we feel?
Just do we feel? Period.
Period. Yes. Do we feel?
I mean, I want good things to happen for the Fiend. They've already ruined the intrigue that I had. Like I root for Bray Wyatt as an individual. He is one of those. This is kind of on my list. I'm always going to want to see him do well. I feel like they let the air out of the balloon with the Fiend already. This is a rehash. Poor booking decisions, poor creative decisions have led us down this road, and now we're back to the 1 year anniversary of the debut of the Fiend. To re-crown him, it's never going to be like it was. That's my whole thing. So I don't know if we feel. I'm not sure if we feel. It's never going to be what it was. Never. It's just
you had your chance and
you fucked it up for the greater glory of Bill Goldberg.
Yeah. Moving on. New Japan has actually done some damage during this pandemic. They're back running shows. The G1 Climax brackets have they been announced yet, or are they about to announce? I think they have been announced, but
not certain.
But there's a couple of tournaments that happened. One was for the Never Openweight 6-man Tag Team Championship, and we have new champions: Yoshihashi, Yoshihashi.
Take your time.
Hiroki Goto, and my guy, Tomohiro Ishii, the Stone Pitbull. With his bitch. Man, don't you ever tell me to take my time like we in church. That's what you tell the person that can't sing. Take your time.
Hold on to him, Lord. Take your time.
Take your time. Also have the New Japan Cup Tournament, USA, taking place, where we have in the first round Kenta defeating Carl Fredericks, Jeff Cobb defeating Tonga Loa, and Jeff Cobb is rumored to be in talks with WWE for a contract, which is scary considering he's in this New Japan Cup Tournament. Dave Finley, son of Fit Finley, defeated Chase Owens, and Tama Tonga defeated Brody King. So I wish I could see the brackets for the whole shit. But going forward, the second round, which was earlier this week. Actually, no, it's tomorrow. Wow. Check it out on YouTube. I think it's New Japan World on YouTube, but the show that New Japan actually has a show that's actually taking place on YouTube now. So that's their United States exposure. I have no idea at the time, so make sure you just trying to do your Googles. The semifinals are going to have David Finley versus Tama Tonga and Jeff Cobb versus Kenta. In this tournament, I actually had in the finals Jeff Cobb versus Tama Tonga, and I hope Tama Tonga wins, but it looks like Jeff Cobb is probably going to be the one to pull it off. You got any thoughts on any of this?
I would have loved to see AEW make a play for Jeff Cobb. Just because, I mean, the last time you saw him on national television
was on AEW.
On AEW, so I figured, hey, why not? But alas, I don't know. I'm not sure what the fuck's going on. Like, there's a lot of talent that could be used well that's kind of slipping through, and I'm not sure as to why. Just I don't know.
Here's what's even crazier.
It feels like Jeff Cobb would have been the guy to be aligned with Taz more so than Brian Cage.
Way more.
Seems like a way better fit.
And I don't understand, like, a guy with an everyday name that has that suplex gimmick. You just leave him on the table like that. And you just fear the worst when you hear a name like Jeff Cobb, and you see his work ethic from ROH, and you see his matches from AEW, and you see what he's doing in New Japan, and you hear WWE. Like, how long will you have someone stay in NXT. And Jeff Cobb is so learned he could go straight to the main roster, but on a legitimacy standpoint, he could literally run through the entire fucking roster.
I feel like that's the best option for him is to be in NXT. I don't have any type of faith in the fact that he'll end up on Raw or SmackDown and be used properly. I mean, fucking Matt Riddle is wrestling Sheamus, which is it's not a knock on Sheamus. It's just like you have. Okay, look at the way that Matt Riddle debuted on SmackDown in 2020 versus the way we pitched for him to debut on SmackDown in 2019.
Bruh. there's so many levels to like, and when they decide to pull the trigger on that, if they ever decide to pull the trigger on that, we can always get that back. We can always re-debut somebody with that good of a gimmick, but we know it will never happen. But never say never when it comes to WWE, because I mean, dare to be surprised. However, we have little faith that it will happen the way that we describe it. Interestingly enough, also on this card for tomorrow in New Japan, there's a 6-man match. Blake Christian, Mysterioso, and PJ Black, which PJ Black is the former Justin Gabriel from Nexus, versus Alex Zane, TJP, and ACH. That this, I don't know. This.
Yeah.
I just don't know. At any rate, my points of interest for that show tomorrow will definitely be the New Japan Cup USA semifinals. Let's see here. G1. Those the tournament has been, I think the entrants have been announced. Let me see if I can pull it up. Still gonna have it. There's a schedule. Oh, they just announced the schedule. They haven't announced any of the competitors. So that's cool. All right. Real quick, back on WWE for just a hot second.
Okay.
We saw a really dope gimmick last night where a contract was in the ring for Keith Lee to sign to go up against Karrion Kross for TakeOver. And as Keith Lee opened up the contract, fireball. First time we've ever seen that come out of a contract. And possibly only the second time we've ever seen it on WWE TV.
Yeah, the part that kind of made me upset about that whole thing was like, they did the fireball. Keith Lee tries to sell it, like his part of his face has been singed off. Not one water bottle was dispensed. y'all are patting his face with dry towels. Dry
ass towels after you telling him don't rub his eyes.
Don't rub your eyes, but we're going to put this rough ass towel in your face. We're going to put this hotel towel in your face and rub.
Obviously, none of you millennials are going back and watching the content that's afforded to you free on the WWE Network.
And nobody's paying attention. That's what's frustrating. No one's paying attention.
I would have appreciated a bottle of milk on his face.
He needs some milk.
Man.
It's unfortunate.
It's the little things.
Unfortunate.
At the end, though, we did see the return of Velveteen
Teen Spirit.
Velveteen Spirit Dream.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna end mine. The difference between a celebrity lie and a celebrity truth is a lawsuit.
Okay. Interesting theory. All I'm gonna say is, if he's back on television, there has to have been some sort of resolution reached. So either someone just just leveled up financially for their silence.
Gag order.
Right. Or someone has been rendered ineffective due to lack of evidence.
Disappeared. Either way.
So he either guilty with great lawyers or he's innocent with great lawyers. One or the other.
Somebody's guilty of something because there is no mention of anything from the E whatsoever. And the person in question is back on television. If the accuser actually had anything of merit to be held, there was no lawsuit filed to counter what was said to refute said fact from the accuser that we know of. But either way, somebody is guilty of something. Either somebody on one side is guilty of lying or somebody is guilty of perpetuating. We will never know. We may never know. We just know that things have come out and there's no smoke without fire. Somewhere, like there is no accusation that strong that doesn't come with repercussions to one side or the other. And no one is apparently having anything to say about it. So there's your truth and a lie right there. All right, all that out the way. Let's get to some fun shit. Yesterday on the Internet Champions of Wrestling forum, something came up that Suave had tagged me in. Suave is always good for tagging me in fun shit. And it opened up an argument. Not even a conversation. It opened up a full-blown argument. Mount Rushmore for WCW. Now, there needs to be ground rules set. This is going to be a little bit more than a mixtape, or a little bit less than a mixtape, rather, but just a fun conversation piece.
I feel like it could be a mixtape because we probably going to have bonus cuts for this. You can get that.
There's so many different bonus cuts we could have. I mean, okay, give me the criteria. Give me the years that will qualify for WCW.
I personally feel like WCW, if I'm not mistaken, is 1989 through 2001. So
the actual inception of the company WCW and not the television show World Championship Wrestling, correct?
Correct. When they break away from the NWA to become World Championship Wrestling is when WCW's Mount Rushmore begins.
Which is shortly after the big gold belt is given to Flair, and Flair leaves the World Championship or Jim Crockett Promotions and takes it to WWF.
Flair is in WWE 91. 89 still encompasses that Future Shock.
89 is also Chi-Town Heat, so it probably would say it was either late 89 or early 90.
Chi-Town Heat's 87.
Was it?
Yeah.
Damn.
89.
No. I'm sorry. Yeah, 89 was Clash of Champions.
Yeah, so you see where Sting is kind of getting to. Is Clash of Champions 89 or 90?
I want to say Clash of Champions. That was a 45-minute draw, right?
Time limit draw. They're going head to head with what I want to say they were going head to head with WrestleMania 6. Because 5 was in Atlantic City. I don't think they were going head to head with Macho Man versus Good Try Terry.
That was Clash of Champions 88, actually. The 45-minute draw was Clash of Champions 88. So you're right. So it had to be 90.
WrestleMania 4. Okay.
Yeah. So it had to be 90 when Jim Crockett Promotions split from the NWA and became World Championship Wrestling.
Why don't we just Google this? How about that?
Well, I'm on it now. When did JCP split from NWA? Titles were abandoned in 1992 and then returned to CW 88. Shit. So I guess Starrcade. So it was the end. Okay, so it was the end of 88. All right, that's what it was.
Okay, so we take all of 89 and then up to 2001 spring break where Shane McMahon does the whole simulcast.
All right. So my list included Sting, Ric Flair, Lex Luger, and Tony Schiavone.
Got you. My list was kind of similar. Obviously, Ric Flair, Sting. I was torn between Vader and Eric Bischoff. And then I included Luger.
So, okay. So now here come the arguments. In 89, Tony Schiavone wasn't even in World Championship Wrestling.
No, he left and came back.
Right. And Jim Ross was there, though.
He leaves in 93.
And Paul Heyman had come in from the AWA.
He leaves in 93 as well.
Diamond Dallas Page comes in during that time frame from the AWA.
He starts wrestling in 94,
but
95.
But was a TV personality and manager prior to that.
Facts.
So
Botchberg absolutely counts.
So yeah, Bill Goldberg comes in at 96 and runs through 99,
97 through the end.
And
biggest years being 98, 99, and then he had like an injury absence, but he's as impactful to WCW's history as pretty much anybody.
As are the Kings of 83 weeks, i.e. Good Try Terry, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Scott Hall and Kevin Nash for two reasons.
We're thinking the same thing. Oz and the Diamond Stud.
I mean, even though you didn't care about them, they were there.
You're right. So I mean, they count as much for Mount Rushmore as anybody.
Macho Man Randy Savage, another honorable mention, because he was there from 93 to the end, or 94 to the end.
Him and Good Try Terry, they're just WWE guys forever. That's why I don't consider them.
I agree. I totally agree. Sadly, not on the list, Dusty Rhodes.
I had Dusty, but that's the guy I swapped out for Vader and Bischoff, because Dusty he didn't wrestle very much in the WCW era, but he was absolutely a fixture because of him he had a couple matches, but he was also a commentator.
He was more of a commentator and was less impactful as a personality because he also was part of the NWO for a brief moment.
He was still booking in 89, if I'm not mistaken. He had some type of hand in it somewhere.
No, he was in the E in 89, wasn't he?
He left and came back. You remember Wrestle War 91 where Pillman got dropped on his head?
Right.
He was doing commentary at that pay-per-view. That
said, there's another one, Steve Austin. Steve Austin could easily be on there. Arn Anderson Arn Anderson is a slept-on one that could be on there because he was there when he came back from the Brainbusters left WWF, and he came back to be part of the Dangerous Alliance, and then they reformed they had the feud with Flair and Anderson. Then you had the reformation of the Horsemen with the New Horsemen, Arn Anderson's retirement, and he stayed as a fixture the entire time.
I'm totally with you about Arn Anderson. I even forgot about him because, I just did. But as the television champion during a time when WCW had more TV real estate than they've ever had, I feel like you saw more of Arn Anderson than you saw of whoever the World Heavyweight Champion was. Because you would see Arn Anderson on WCW Saturday Night, WCW Worldwide, then Sunday on Main Event, and then he would be the opener, whatever pay-per-view was coming up. Like, you saw Arn Anderson more than you saw Ric Flair.
Facts. Big facts.
Which also brings me to my next honorable mention, beautiful Bobby Eaton.
Beautiful Bobby Eaton has been around even before the merger, and you saw him as part of a tag team with Arn Anderson,
right,
with Squire Dave Taylor.
Squire.
He was a singles competitor. And he was there probably till about till around the time the NWO came.
Yeah,
as a fixture, he popped up here and there to do the deed for some guys, but for the most part, he wasn't the fixture that he was in the 80s by that point for obvious reasons. Here's another honorable mention.
Who that is?
Who pulled the television championship out of the trash can?
Duggan?
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Nah, it's too much.
He was on WCW Saturday Night every Saturday night till the end. He was also part of Team Canada when he was the most patriotic person probably in professional wrestling outside of Sergeant Slaughter.
I'm good, fam.
Just an honorable mention. Not saying that he needed, because to me, he's also.
I'm not even with the honorable mention. That is a WWE property. Like, you're gonna put him on the Mid South.
Yeah, I would say I'll put him
on the Mid South Mount Rushmore. Fine, cool.
I'll put him on Mid South and maybe even Georgia Championship. But
you're doing a little bit much. We're gonna put Sergeant Butterlee Parker on this list too.
While you're bullshitting the state patrol.
Hell, or motherfucking Craig Pitbull Pittman.
Hey, on the real though, here's a good one. How about
Chip?
How about Teddy Long?
That's a good one though.
But is it though? Because what was his claim to fame during that time frame? Because Doom was only around with him for about a year or two.
It's because Teddy Long grinded his way up, so he always deserves an honorable mention. He is the first black manager of the first black world tag team champions.
And he's a pencil pusher.
So he's always in the honorable mention category. Shout out to Teddy Long.
Player. Holla.
You know what I'm saying? That's just straight how we doing it.
Man, so this is great conversation. Ron Murray, we expect to hear from you. Anybody else listening, feel free to shoot us an email or hit us on social media. Tell us your Mount Rushmore for WCW. Show at brokenpencilbc.com or brokenpencilbc@gmail.com. Either one hits the same address, so it's good. Anything else we got, man?
Let me look.
That's the agenda. Oh shit! One more thing. Last week I made light of this and I had no idea it was as serious as it was. Last week on AEW Dynamite, there was an interaction between the Spanish guy Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy, in which Sammy Guevara took a chair and just flung it, just complete disregard for human life, at Matt Hardy's face, and split his dome open for 13 stitches. The return of the unprotected ass chair shot to the dome piece. And word is that he got a stern talking to afterwards, but dear Lord, leaking like a faucet would be an understatement.
Yeah, I mean, he bled real good.
It's not funny though.
He bled real good, fam. I don't really know what to tell you. I mean, but he bled real good.
Well, thank goodness Matt Hardy is okay, but he has not been medically cleared to return. And the good thing is they pulled a lemonade stand out of this lemon that it was handed to him. They got a nice little angle of Matt Hardy going crazy over his head. So recover well, Matthew, and we will see you at All Out. I'm sure you and Sammy Guevara are gonna put on a classic, and with Sammy Guevara gonna take another L, I'm sure. But if Matt does what he's supposed to do, Matt actually is probably gonna put Sammy over while Matt goes over. But Matt's already over though.
Shouldn't that be the plan?
It should be, no doubt. It should no doubt be the plan.
I mean, come on, like, why are we here if we're not putting Sammy over?
That part, but you have to behave, man. Like that whole the whole reason why he was out, which of course was old stuff that he apologized for, and obviously did the work that he needed to do to redeem himself. Just to come back for this shit, Sammy, you gotta do a better job using your head, brother.
I mean, it's certainly not the situation you would like to come back to after being suspended for miscellaneous transgressions. It's not what you want to come back to at work, but
nah, not at all.
You know.
All right, so that said, man. Oh,
also on the streaming front, we got some breaking news.
Uh-oh.
So apparently, on August 15th, WXW, Progress, ICW, and Evolve will all debut on the WWE Network with full libraries for all the promotions coming in the near future. So it looks like we're moving towards that whole tiered payment bracket, whether we like it or not.
That's very interesting that WXW, ICW, and Progress are all going to be there, considering a lot of the talent from NXT UK came from those promotions and or are working with those promotions. Do you think that they're going to remain as independent entities, or are they going to be independent entities with the cash infusion from WWE, and or do you think they'll just be WWE properties after all of this happens?
WWE properties. I don't see any reason for them to cash infuse any of these other promotions when you essentially have your air quotes developmental territory as NXT. So it's just going to be NXT UK. They'll weed out everybody who air quotes doesn't fit the bill, whether it be for past transgressions or whatever. But I don't see them putting money into an already established brand when their established brand is more established.
Here's where I disagree with you, because NXT, by and large, we know it as a developmental brand. WWE has been selling it for the last 2 years as the third brand. So if that's the case, that would mean stateside Evolve would be the equivalent of Ohio Valley and Heartland back in like the early 2000s. Progress, WXW, and ICW will be the equivalent to NXT UK. NXT was to the main roster 5 years ago. Does the E buy those properties, or are they just allowing this to be? Because honestly, them being on the network and having people overseas be able to watch this content, and because they can aggregate the data to see who's watching what, when, and where the money and where the time goes. So if they're seeing a lot more time being spent on the +7 on the clock, hour wise, then they know that money needs to go be distributed for revenue sharing to these entities versus all staying stateside and being pumped into the ability to have higher contracts for talent. That makes sense?
It does, but it's WWE, so it's not going to pan out that way. You remember when they resurrected ECW, it was strictly for the tape library and for a one-off. So if you get any one of those underlying promotions to have the type of rallying power with buyers to where you could do like an anniversary show or a one-off, then maybe you get that. The most I see it being is like they've acquired these tape libraries. All of those promotions are effectively dead. They'll live on the network, and then they'll just be absorbed. Like, because WWE is not really in the business of paying homage or rehashing anything for fan consumption. It's, can we make $1 off this? Like, the fact that you have the library is probably as good as it's going to get. They're not going to make any shirts. They're not going to run any shows under that name.
Let me stop you. Let me stop you real quick. In all respect, I'm looking at. I just Googled. I was trying to find the Evolve website, and the first thing that pops up is a wiki that says parent organization WWE 2020 dash.
Then there's that.
Holy shit.
So you were saying about what?
I was saying nothing, sir. Wow.
I so appreciate you.
Yep. It was actually the purchase was done July 2nd.
Because we reported on this though. We reported on Evolve getting bought out and Gabe shutting down operations. I knew that part. It's the fact that they added all these other promotions to the viewing library. I don't even know how motivated I'm going to be to watch this old content. Like, there may be something cool that comes of it, but
the only thing is, like, you have people who could be proven to be relevant now, doing things back then that make you look at their content. Like Keith Lee, Shane Strickland, now Isaiah Swerve Scott, Davey Richards, who's one of the founders, Gabe Sapolsky, who's also one of the founders, like these were bookers for Dragon Gate or Gabe Sapolsky was a booker for Dragon Gate USA and Ring of Honor, but also Davey Richards is part of the American Wolves with now Impact World Champion Eddie Edwards. There was a few. What's Austin Theory was an involved talent. So like there are tons of wrestlers that people know of. Let me just go through a few more names. AR Fox is another one, and hopefully he ends up on the main roster or the WWE roster sometime soon. Let's see here. They even had a bootleg Evan Bourne, not even Matt Sydal. Crazy. Let's see who else. Those look like those are recent names. Kobe Carino from ROH fame, son of Steve Carino. And I don't know if there's storyline or whatever, but we know still. Timothy Thatcher was also a Evolved talent. Josh Briggs, Evolved talent. And he was actually on the Evolve pay-per-view that showed up on the WWE Network last year. Yeah, so they've got, and Drew Galloway actually spent some time in Evolve too in a cross promotion along with Johnny Gargano. So that means there've been some major names that come through there. It's just I don't know who's there that's left. Plus it's a relatively small promotion. I guess it remains to be seen what comes out of this, but it's still it's good for the talent that you actually now have guaranteed money coming in.
They have the talent pool. It's modern indie wrestling, so you got to be in the mood for that. At least I do.
Well, and that goes double for the UK stuff because no one stateside is really paying attention to things like WXW, Progress, or ICW simply because it's a +7 in most parts. Well, anywhere from +6 to +9 in terms of hours that they are ahead for us, stateside. So there's that. I don't know if we said this on the previous episodes or not, but. Also, rest in peace shouts to Malik B of the Roots crew, who passed away at age 47 a couple of weeks ago. One of the dopest MCs to ever grab a microphone. His pen game was strong. Shouts out to Jaguar Wright for her public tirades of disaffection for different people in the music industry. She went on record as saying that he would freestyle stuff that shit that was so dope that he would forget it. And it would end up on other people's songs, but that's neither here nor there. But anyway, not to tarnish the legacy of that man because he was a dope MC. But Malik B, rest in peace, Roots crew. That's it. Suave, do us a favor.
You
take it to the house.
Pencil pushers, heads up, pencils down.
Hey, even though this is like the worst podcast we've ever done, we're still better than you.
Jeez.